When you started playing these shows, did you envision, because you said it came together very organic, but was there a turning point or moment where you thought, oh, we should pursue this, we should try and make this work?
There was a point maybe about 5 years ago where we all were at sort of transitioning stages in our lives, and we were in a position to, let's say, quit our jobs and go for it. And there was a lot of kind of fortunate coincidences where I just graduated from college, Griff took a break from teaching, Barry had to retire due to injury, Dara Graham had to retire from sport due to injury, and we were all in these kind of transitioning stages in our lives that fell together nicely at the right time. So I think that would have been the moment.
What, especially in those moments, the transitional periods, what does music mean in those times of your life?
I think it was huge for us in a sense because Ireland was suffering massively from the recession at the time, around 2011, 2012, and it was a really depressing place to be. Limerick was probably, our city was probably the hardest hit city in the country. So a lot of our age group left the country to pursue work in Australia and America and the UK. So it was pretty bleak, and for us to have an outlet of music, to just go into a pub and not only lift ourselves but actually see people around you getting a huge buzz of what you're doing and feeling something, and I think that was a turning point for me, is when other people externally would tell us how much our music meant to them, and it was like, wow, for us we're just trying to do something that passes time or entertains us, and to see it uplift other people in effect. And then when we travelled, we'd go to these places like Australia, and you'd meet people who had to leave Ireland because of the recession, and the buzz they got off seeing us and the emotions that they were going through. It was bizarre for us to see that, because again, we were just trying to have a bit of fun. But I think they were turning points for me, that you thought, okay, we've got something that's special here, and I suppose we should take it more seriously.
What is one thing that sticks out that a fan has said to you, or somebody who likes your music?
We have a German fan who tattoos a lot of our lyrics on her back and her arm. It's just got a fresh one here.
Okay.
And
she's running out of places. Across her face.
Yeah, that's pretty huge, man. You get she's got one across her back that's like that size that just says, "Spring brings changes on its wings, just on cue to lift my soul," which it's bananas. Like when someone would take those words and put them on their body. So.
Let's take that bit of lyric then, because I find that interesting. Do you remember where it came from? Where that
Dara,
line?
one of the lads, wrote that lyric, and I suppose spring bringing changes, just on cue to lift her soul. That's what I suppose. In Ireland, our winters can be pretty bleak. So I think he wrote that probably just at the start of spring or summer, and. He's quite a depressing man, so probably gave him a little bit of a boost.
because he's like a spring lamb when he wrote that
song. Because the EP, the most recent EP, is called Golden Rust, which is about those ups and downs in life. So when do these ideas of a song come to you? Is it how do songs in a way exist? Oh, that's not the right word. How do songs start for the band?
Very differently. I think we all have different ways of writing, and we have tried many different ways. We've written with other people. We've written the five of us together. We've written with an idea in mind, and then we'll try and brainstorm around it. And I can only speak for myself. The best for me is when stuff just blurts out. It's coming from somewhere subconsciously, and it almost comes out as a vowel sound before it's even a word or a lyric. And then I like to mold sounds that I make into meaning, and they bizarrely come from somewhere, some experience that I've had that is buried in my subconscious somewhere, and that's the way they start to come out. And that's a very enjoyable and fulfilling way for me to write and get stuff out there. And then you've probably got your own way.
I'm just imagining just right in a room by himself making these vowel sounds based on experiences. That sounds like it could be. This is a weird image in my head. Yeah, I think like there's no one answer to that question, but I think an emotion or some sort of a spark there is usually where it starts, and everything then just kind of fans out from there, whether it's the music or the lyrics or just the energy behind it, you know.
Do you have to be in a certain mood then to write, or does the band have to be? Because I know for the first album you wrote most of it on the road, but then, or am I confused?
A bit of both, actually. Yeah. No, I don't think you do. To be honest, you can use that excuse for and if you're in a comfort zone, it's easy to use that excuse that I'm not ready today. But like there's times where we came back from a tour in Toronto one time, or from Canada, came back to England to work with a producer over there, and Dan and I, it was a pretty wild tour. We partied pretty hard, and we came back and we were exhausted. Like I had conjunctivitis in one of my eyes. I had like a sore throat because we'd been just drinking and playing and stuff, and we had to go in and try and write a song. And I was like, this is the last thing I want to do. But we started writing about basically addiction to fun and the good things in life, drugs, sex, rock and roll, whatever it might be. And it came out as a love song. It's called Magnificent. It's on one of our albums, and it's one of my favorite songs we've written because it came from a dark place, and people think it's like a lot of people ask us to sing this for their weddings, and can they use it as their wedding song or their person walking up the aisle, and I'm like, this is about a dark addiction, but yeah, go for it, you know. So yeah, it's not always when you're in a comfort zone. It can be when you're in a tough place as well.
You mentioned an interesting point, because I believe I read somewhere where you compared the being in a band to being in sports as a team. But in terms of the lifestyle, I mean, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. There's some of that, I suppose, in sports, but you have to keep fit. So how is that balance now for you?
Yeah, it was very different from from the professional rugby for me anyway. The lifestyle. I mean, we're natural lads who we always like to play sports when we're younger. So we still like to keep fit as much as we can, but it is difficult when you're on the road. There's no two ways about it. It's we fully indulged for the first few years of the band, I'd like to say, in the partying side of it. As we've gotten a bit older, we've probably, you can't rock up to a gig the next day dying of a hangover when you've got to, play a show for people who bought tickets to your show the next night. So we, like at least the two singers anyway, have to behave ourselves a little bit better, but the rest of them get away with it.
Because I read also that some of you are settling down a little bit more. Has that changed the music as well from where you were a couple of years ago with that partying to a little bit more? Has that changed?
Not the writing anyway. For me anyway, it wouldn't affect that, and the performance is still very much energy based, and so no. If anything, it's better. Okay. You know what I mean? You're more focused, I think, and you've a little bit more of a structure to your life rather than you can't burn the candle at two ends, really, to be honest.
And now in Ireland, you're doing really well. And then you've toured in Australia. I think you've been to the US for a couple of shows. So is your gaze now on a wider audience in a way?
Our manager would probably say, yeah, it is. We tried not to. We just love traveling the world and playing music, and we enjoy playing gigs to 100 people as much as we do 10,000, and we love traveling, so naturally it just comes hand in hand. But I think we just enjoy writing and releasing our music, and if people love it in Amsterdam or London or Australia, then that's an added bonus for us.
Finally then, you released an EP. Well, what are you looking for towards the future? Is there, was that kind of the prologue to an album, or where are you with
Yeah, it's funny in this day and age. Singles do so well and stuff like that. People don't, I suppose, consume music the way they used to, and that they buy albums and listen to it on repeat. So we've been kind of taking our time with what we're going to do next, and that's why we released the EP. We wanted that batch of songs. We were just happy with what we had, and we put it out. But definitely next will be an album. we haven't started recording yet, but we have a lot of stuff written, and again, we're going to take our time, but it'll be in 2019 at some point. There'll be a full album with a few singles precursing that. So.
Okay. Guys, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Robin. Cheers, man.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Brian.